Betty with Manitowoc Public Library, and today we are doing a special field trip. We are at Whispering Orchards, and this is Sue to tell us all about the great things that happen in an orchard. Do you know what an orchard is? What happens in an orchard? Let's find out. Let's start at thanks to Sue.
Well, hi everybody. The first thing I'd like to show you is our honeybees. We have honeybees at an apple orchard. Every spring our apple trees get flowers on them, and those are called apple blossoms. The honeybees pollinate those blossoms and help them grow into apples. So honeybees are very important to us. And this is a honeybee hive that we have that you can see how the bees are working in there. It's a live hive, and then they can go through that tube and they can go outside anytime they would like. So besides helping us grow the apples, they make honey. And honey is the food that they eat. So this is what it looks like when the honeybees put it in the hive. So we have honeybees at our orchard all year round, but they're most important to us in the springtime. So next we're going to go start walking through the orchard and we can see some of the apple trees. So we're going to head right on outside. We even have some of our roosters here to visit us. As you're walking, you can see some of our apple trees out here, and you can see some of the apples are hanging on the trees. Some of the trees don't have any apples on right now, and that's because those were already picked. So not all the apples are picked at the same time because they ripen a little bit different. So we're going to head out to the next part where we can see some of our young trees. That's one of our workers carrying some apples in that we just picked. And she's bringing up into the apple building, which we'll see in a few minutes. These are some of the trees that we just planted this year. So they look like a stick with a root at the bottom when we put them in the ground, and we wrap them with this white thing at the bottom. And that thing helps protect the tree from mice and rabbits. If a mouse or a rabbit eats the bark on the bottom of the tree, then our tree could die, and we don't want that to happen. So this just helps protect them. And then they're going to grow, and this is growing a tree on a trellis system. So this is a brand new way for us to be growing our apples. So these are going to get bigger and bigger and get almost up to that top post. So when they're 3 to 5 years old, they're going to start producing apples. And then this is what it looks like when we have some more apples on the tree. We take care of our trees all summer long, and we spray the trees and we cut the grass and we watch for insects, and finally this time of year we start picking our apples. And what is the best way to tell when an apple is ripe? One of the things we look at is the color of the apple, and we also look at the size of the apple. But our favorite way to tell when they're ripe is we walk up to the tree, We pick one of the apples off and we taste it. That is our favorite way to tell when that apple is ripe.
Yum, yum.
We do also check to see how the seeds look inside the apple. If the seeds are white, that apple needs to hang on that tree longer yet. If the seeds are brown, then those apples are ripe and they're ready for picking. So when we decide this particular kind of apple is ready for picking, we put on this picker basket. We pick all of our apples by hand, but this helps us carry a whole bunch of apples in here at one time. So when we start picking the apples, we pick them with our hands and we keep putting them in this basket. And when this basket is full, then we very gently open up and let them roll into a box. See how this has a hole at the bottom? Then we close this up again and we pick more apples. And we always have to just be very, very gentle because the apples will bruise if we drop them. So we always be real gentle. We put them in these boxes. This holds 1 bushel of apples. We also have some real big boxes that we use that I'll show you at the building, and those hold 20 bushel of apples in them.
So how many of those does it take to fill a box?
About 2. This holds about 20 pounds of apples. So 2 bags full would fill up this.
So a bushel is about 40 pounds?
About, yeah.
Wow.
So those are the new trees. How old are these trees? How long have they been growing about? At least
Most of these trees are about 38 years old.
38 years.
Yeah, some of them they're getting pretty old. And you can see some of these are dark red, some apples are light red, some can be green or yellow, or they can be green and yellow together or green and red together. There's many, many different kinds of apples. And the neat part with apples is they have different flavors. Some of them are going to be more tart, some are more sweet, and some are in between. So there's lots and lots of different flavors of apples. We have over 20 different kinds of apples in our orchard.
20?
Yeah, over 20.
Wow.
So
What's your most popular flavor?
Honeycrisp. It's one of the most popular apples today, but there's a lot of different good apples out there.
So I used to make applesauce. What kind of apple would you recommend for applesauce making?
There's a lot of apples you can use. The most popular ones are McIntosh and Cortland. I do a lot with Zestar. It's a fairly new apple. I think it makes a wonderful applesauce. But it also is fun to mix different kinds of apples together and you get a really good applesauce that way too.
Very cool.
So we're going to head up to the building and I'll show you how we work with some of the apples up there.
All right.
We put apples in. These hold about 20 bushel of apples. So some are plastic, some are wooden, but we use a lot of those and we carry them with a forklift because they're way too big to carry by hand. Then we bring those big boxes into our building. When we bring the big boxes in, we put them in this machine and this will lift up that great big box of apples and put them on a conveyor belt. Inside this machine, it scrubs the apples. We turn the water on so it washes them and scrubs them clean. And as it comes down this conveyor, it sizes the apples for us. So the little ones will go on that tray, the medium ones on this tray, and the real big ones will come on this tray. We're going to turn the machine on so you can see how the apples go through here. Medium ones here and the big ones here. And once they're on these trays, we pick up each apple and look at it. And if it's a really good looking apple, we put it in a bag and get it ready to put in our store to sell it. Sometimes we find apples that might have a little mark on the skin. So we keep those separate. So we can do many things with this apple. We can make apple pie, apple sauce, apple cider. So there's lots of things we can still make with this apple. But we keep those in a special box so we can use those up. Once we have our apples all separated into containers, then we put them in our store and we're ready to sell them. So we can take these into the store because we have them ready. So here we have some of our different varieties of apples already bagged up in these bins. So we have some yellow apples, you can see the color. Some are red, some are real dark red. These are a little bit more green. So it gives all different colors and flavors of apples. Some of the things that we make with our apples, we make apple butter, apple cider jelly. These are really wonderful on a piece of toast. And we make our own apple cider here. So we use different kinds of apples. We wash them and squeeze the juice out of it and we're ready to drink it. We also do fun things with our apples. We dip them in caramel and so we get caramel apples. We put sprinkles on and nuts and even Reese's Pieces and M&Ms. We also make apple pies. So these are some pies that were just made and ready to pop in the oven.
You're making me hungry.
So I'm glad you guys all came to visit us today. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you.